Hello, my name is Denyse Rusa and I'm a student at Mount Kenya University doing Bachelor of Arts and Media and Mass Communication. We are going to be walking you through to more of radio programming than what meets the ear. So that basically means that there's a lot about radio programming than what people know. And we specifically chose the show Kigali in the Morning of Royal FM to do that. I hope you enjoy.
My name is Jackie. Welcome to Royal FM.
Kigali in the Morning on 94.3 Royal FM.
The workday is just better.
I love it. The home of Kigali in the morning. Yeah. 94.3 Royal FM.
So Kigali in the Morning is a current affairs program. Like all breakfast shows, we look at what big thing happened the day before and also highlight what major events people can anticipate on the present day. The entire show is about educating people, informing them, entertaining them, and a kind of show that we want to ensure helps someone start off their day positively and energetically.
There's a lot of information about radio programming that most of us are unaware of, like the processes and steps it requires for the information to pass through before it is aired. But who am I to explain all that? Let's just leave it to the professionals.
First, understand our target audience. For example, our target audience is an age group of 18 to 40 years old. The people who are in that age group, they normally want to know what is happening around the world. They want to be entertained, which means when you are going to create a show, you first know which time I'm going to create a show and have this kind of content. For example, in the morning, we are normally targeting corporate people here at Royal FM, and that's the reason why we created a morning show in English.
So my favorite radio station is Royal FM 94.3 and my favorite show is Kigali in the Morning, hosted by Jackie Lumbasi and Chris Vick.
A person might think a journalist wakes up in the morning, go take a microphone and present whatever news is trending around the world. But the case is different. They have to plan, prepare everything they're going to talk about, and position everything in its right place in order for them not to face any unexpected hindrances throughout the whole show.
Well, the preparation for the radio show, I like to say this, you don't prepare for a radio show once and that's done. It's a continuous process. So every time I'm off air, I am observing things that are happening around me and I get to analyze which one makes good radio content, which one can I take on air. And so it's a 24/7 kind of thing. It doesn't matter where I am observant because any one of those things could form radio content. So that for me is part of radio preparation. But then on a daily basis, when we're done with the show, I host the show with a gentleman called Chris. So on a daily basis after the show, we catch up. We could do 30 minutes or 45 minutes of looking at today's show and prepping for tomorrow's show. So today, what didn't we do well? What could be improved for tomorrow? And then, for example, today we're talking about health and tomorrow it will be finances. So what topic are we going to discuss with Isaac when he comes in? So if we sat down and prepared for today's show, we sat down yesterday and prepared for today's show, but in between 11 a.m. and 6 a.m., this morning something big happened, it means we change all that we had prepared the day before. So yeah, we always have things on standby, but we also move with the times and there are lots of unexpected events that could happen.
As we have consulted some other urban radio stations like Kiss FM, it turns out they also prepare beforehand what they're going to present about.
Yeah, what I do before going on air is I say that I'm a business news presenter. Of course, I have to read newspapers, to go through social media, to go through websites, to see what is new, current news about business, of course. And after reading, I just do my scripts. But from what I've read, But of course, as I do business news on an entertainment station, I do not go deeper in the stories. I just tackle on main points, on the heads of the business stories.
News is news, but what spices it up for the audience? A journalist has got to make sure the audience stay hooked, and that is what we are going to hear about.
What do I do to keep my audience entertained, to captivate them? Here's the thing, every time I am on radio, I am imagining that I'm having a conversation with my best friends. It's my family, it's my best friends, and you see that smile that you have on, huh? That's it. So as I am going on air, if I want to have a serious face, and I know for sure Denyse is going to have a serious face as soon as I'm done saying this, I will say it in a manner that will make sure Denyse has a serious face. But also, if I want to cheer her up, make her laugh a bit, I will say that thing that will make her laugh a bit. And I try as much as possible to be authentic. That's another way to keep people. I do not want them to hear one person on radio, and when we meet physically, they see a different person. So for me, I keep my audience by being myself. In everything that I do, in everything I say, you know that's the real reflection of Jackie. And then the other thing that I try to do is stay ahead of my audience. And so if I am always imagining when they wake up tomorrow, what do they want to hear? And if they've already had this elsewhere, what more do I bring to the table? What more information can I offer them so that they're not just hearing what they had elsewhere, what they had in a conversation with their friends and colleagues? What more am I giving them as far as a certain topic is concerned? So I want to be that friend of theirs that is knowledgeable and informed, but also very entertaining and educative and fun to hang out with.
What I personally do to make my audience entertained, of course, Kiss FM is an entertainment station, but of course I am a business news presenter, so there is a small difference. But I do not do news, I do not report news to the audience as a job. I just do it as a passion, and that's how I keep my audience entertained. And when it comes to sign, when I say my name, everyone is wow. So yeah, that's how we do it.
Bad day, yes. I have had cases where I'm having a terrible day, and you know, that's normal. But then because of the kind of job I do, I'm always driven by the fact that people rely on me to make their day, to help them bear the burdens that they have to carry. And so I find myself, even on that day when I'm having the worst of it, I try for it not to be hard. I try for it not to be that obvious. Of course, for somebody who knows me too well, they could tell this is not the Jackie that we're used to. But then I try my best to make sure that that bad day does not overshadow what brought me to the studio that morning. So let me give you an example of a day that I didn't walk into the studio in a bad mood. No, my day had started well. But it was also my very early days of doing the breakfast show. And there happened to be this lady who did not like me at all. So she calls on radio and asks for the lady that I had replaced. Asks, for example, where is Gloria? And my co-host says, oh, Gloria isn't here, but we have Jackie. And she says, no, I don't want Jackie. I want Gloria. What have you done? She went on, and I laughed it off. That could have been really, really bad. If I was a weak person, the show was not going to go on well. But I handled it. In fact, what I told the lady is, unfortunately for you, I am the one who's here. And so make peace with it. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I am here to stay. That I said politely, but inside I was really, really angry. But maybe that was a good thing, because a few years on we became friends. She warmed up towards me, and probably I sounded like the presenter she wanted to hear on radio. She loved me. She apologized on air. That was a good thing. She did. She called and apologized on air.
One might think journalists do everything on their own, But there is always a system behind making sure everything goes as planned. So they're going to walk us through what the system is all about and how it works.
As a programmer, what I do before presenters go on air, I actually do the schedule in the system. Here we have a system, and the system that we are using has 4 different computers, and each computer has its work. For example, this computer is for uploading, this one is for programming, to the schedule. There is other 2 computers that's can also helping us to get the logs, and even also to schedule the adverts. And there is another computer which in the on-air studio. So that is the one which has every work that I made before them to go on air. So for them, as an urban radio station, and even also the softwares that we have, it's helped them to sit in the studio and have everything behind them. For example, every music that is going to be played is start from here in programming.
When we say more to radio programming, we're also trying to say that it has grown over the years. There was an old way of radio programming, and there's a new and modern way of radio programming. Let's hear more on it.
I've been listening to Royal FM for 1 year, and I think there is a lot more than radio programming improvement. There is airing the shows is now more easier, and I think it reaches a quite big number of people, and also it gives not hard time or more work to the presenters. I think there is a lot of technology by now compared to the past time. I think modern radio programming is doing a great job in radios.
So even though a new way of programming has more opportunities, there is even also challenges. When you are programming a radio station in a new way, mostly you have also to focus to use another language, other international language. For example, here we are using English, and we even also know how here in Rwanda there is more people who can even also speak French. For example, I'm even also a French speaker. When you are programming a radio station like that in a new way, mostly when you are going to produce, for example, jingles or sweepers, you need sometimes to use international languages, because when you try to do a sweeper in Kinyarwanda, mostly it can't sound well, you see? And even how you can even also dialect the presenters to do their daily show. When they are not mixing English and French, or mixing Kinyarwanda and other languages, sometimes it's not sounding as you want as a programmer, or even also listen how there is something which is very different to those who are programmed their radios in a old way. Because when you are focusing or decide to to program a radio in a different way to others, you have definitely to do that. There is a funny thing. I think you normally listen to different urban radio stations here in Rwanda. Mostly their presenters are using Kinyarwanda, but the jingles, sweepers, drops are in English. So it's confusing.
Well, as you just heard, nothing is ever really perfect. But you can ask yourself, if radio has shows and news, how does it track its audience? To know how many people listen to their radio, which of their radio shows are most likely listened to, and what they can do to improve their services.
How we track our audience is the same as other stations do. We see feedbacks from the audience, messages, calls, the clients that approaches us targeting a certain audience. So from there we can know that this given number of audience is just listening to our programs, to our shows and everything, yeah.
Oh, how do we track the audience? So for many radios, you will subscribe to different research institutions. For example, we've got Geopol, and Geopol is one that serves a lot of radio and TV stations in Rwanda. So you could subscribe to Geopol, who every now and then go out there and do an audience survey. But for our own research, which might not be as detailed and as wide as Geopol, we will track using messages that come through on our WhatsApp, on the SMS line, also the calls, and the listener feedback.
As you just saw for yourself, there's really more to radio programming than what meets the ear. It requires great work, great hard work, great teamwork, great patience, and not to mention great creativity and innovation. Thank you very much.